good late morning or early afternoon, depending on what time it really is. I'm seeing 12 noon. Hey, I wrote this on Tuesday, but as I wrote in the post yesterday, I never did get a chance to record and post it. So here's Tuesday's reflection, and turn in later, and I'll have a Thursday reflection for you as well. So on Monday, Joan and I were in the grocery store late in the afternoon getting the needed supplies for our dinner. And as I was standing in an aisle, determining which canned good I needed to purchase for the dinner fixins, a woman approached me from the center aisle, pushing her cart and asking, "Well, should I go buy lots of toilet paper again?" Now, with the number of people who have earbuds in their ears, listening on their phone, I thought maybe she was having a conversation with somebody on the phone. But I couldn't see any earbuds. Her hair wasn't all that long, so I wondered what was going on. And then she says, "No, should I go stock up on toilet paper?" Looking right at me. Well, now she had my attention. And I was about to give a snarky response when she said, "I just got a text from the county that we're now back in purple zone, and I'm wondering if we're going to be in lockdown mode again, and I'm not going to be able to come out." Well, we did have a short conversation about what that might mean. The stay-at-home orders, or just closing down things like inside dining, bars, etc. And I was pretty certain that in-person worship services were going to be halted for the time being. But I did wonder about the stay-at-home idea. As I watched the news that evening and I was reading press releases from the Solano County Board of Health, I learned, as many of you have learned by now, that no, we would not be asked to stay at home, but indeed things like indoor dining, while some had been able to accomplish that, was now not going to happen. I must admit, it hasn't really affected me much in these months. I love alfresco dining. I'm not sure that it would work very well for me with the weather changing, however. And now it's kind of a moot point, isn't it? However, the gatherings for Thanksgiving and perhaps Christmas will be quite different. Joan and I had already wrestled with the Thanksgiving celebration stuff. See, it's been our tradition to gather in San Jose, and my folks would come up from Arizona to join in the festivities there. In September, we already knew that my folks would not be joining us, so it was just down to the 6 of us. My folks had already said they weren't going to have their Thanksgiving in October. That's when they gathered with my 2 brothers and families in the East Coast before they head to Arizona. And also that they would not be coming north in November. So that left it with just the possibility of the California branch of the family gathering. Alex and Bryn then thought that they might head to Bryn's father's house and celebrate with cousins. That meant that Joan and I would likely be holding our Thanksgiving feast as a couple, something we haven't done literally in decades. Don't you just love this new lifestyle? To be honest, I wasn't all that surprised to be back in purple again. I actually thought that Solano County status was going to change a couple of weeks ago, back on Election Day. I obsessively watch the ticker tape across the bottom of the screen when the news comes on each night, and I focus especially when it blares those big letters, "Coronavirus Update." I want to know what's going on in the country, in the world, and in the state. I watch those numbers, and I pay close attention as it scrolls through all the big numbers and gets into Solano County. I watched our numbers steadily increase, but for a long time, the death was stuck in the 60s. That was good news, mixed news for sure, but the increase in cases becomes troublesome because I fear it also means fewer hospital beds are available. It feels to me like we dodged a bullet 2 weeks ago, and now we're facing it. Monday's news also sparked a conversation about Joan's weekly routine. We talked about whether or not she would head on Wednesday down to be with Campbell as he zooms in on his kindergarten class for Thursday and Friday. Or would she stay here? We were partway through that conversation and discerning when Alex called to talk about upcoming plans. What were we going to do for Thanksgiving? What did we expect to do during the Christmas break? Were we planning on going away? Where? I asked him. If we leave the state, we have to come back. When we come back, we have to quarantine for 14 days. How much fun would that be? What about you folks, I asked. What are you thinking? Oregon, as is your common practice? No, he said, I don't believe that's going to happen this year. We'll likely stay at home. I could hear the disappointment in his voice, and I'm sure he heard the same in mine. Isn't that the truth for us this year? So many cancellations, so many starts and stops, so many disappointments, so many inequalities, some following the guidelines while others ignore them, some trying hard to keep themselves and others safe while others seem to intentionally disregard guidelines that are offered. After 8 months of these things, I feel we're all going just a little bit bonkers. I know I want it to end, and I want it to end soon. It seems to me we're just a little over it, and we want to put it all behind us. I know it's hard, but we need to be diligent. As the experts I listen to remind me regularly, that this virus is no respecter of anything. It doesn't care how I vote, who I listen to, how old I am, or even where I live. It simply attacks, causes health issues, and even kills. So friends, I'm asking us all to let's keep up this good fight. Let's be very careful, especially as Thanksgiving approaches. Let's keep the gatherings outside as often as we can. And let's pray that the weather is decent for Thanksgiving celebrations. And do all of those other important steps, like wearing a mask, washing hands, limiting the time together for non-household participants, because a socially distanced Thanksgiving is a whole lot better than an ICU Christmas, don't you think? And let's keep the prayers going about the good news that vaccines are being developed. I do believe there's a light at the end of the tunnel, and I do believe I can see a glimmer of that light. I'm just not sure how long the tunnel is and how much longer I have to be in the middle of it. Happy Tuesday, don't you think? Hey, I do look forward to seeing you on Sunday. And until then, of course, please, please, please wear that mask. Wash those hands 20 seconds at a time, 3 times a day, and use hand lotion because you want to keep them nice and soft. If you're sick, please stay home. Don't infect others or affect them either. Keep that 6-foot distance among strangers. Household members, hug one another because that may be the only hugs we get for a while. And of course, Sergeant Esterhaus says, be careful out there. Hey, see you later this afternoon with a Thursday reflection.